when I was in school, like in high school and stuff, I used to contemplate, what am I going to do with my life? What is it that's so important to me that I want to spend my life doing? You know, is it? And I couldn't find anything. I was looking at around me and looking at all the people that had jobs and careers and stuff, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to punch a time clock. And I had two brothers in Vietnam, and that was really scary to me. You know, like I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get drafted and get shipped to Vietnam and get killed. And it was really scary. The whole growing up and being in high school and everything, not knowing what I want to do with my life, but getting ready to get pushed out of the nest and get out into the world. And I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. In fact, and I was scared. And I actually thought I was a coward because I didn't want to go to Vietnam and kill people. You know, I was wondering if I'm in fact a coward. And then to make a long story short, I actually ended up going to prison. I went down 1,000 miles, down 1,000 kilometers down the west coast of Mexico, bought horses, and I had a wife and a child. And we bought horses, and we just started riding out in the jungle, and my intention was to find somewhere out in the bush where I could raise my family away from the civilized world, and just to live simply. Anyway, I got busted. I got pulled up by the immigration people and thrown in prison. And my wife and child were deported in 3 days to go home and get the money to pay for lawyers and pay for fines and stuff. And I was put in prison. And in Mexico, they have a year to sentence you, and if you don't have the right lawyer, he appeals your case and you get another year, and that's what happened to me. It took 2 years to get sentenced, and I was found innocent. But in that time, I was continuously trying to escape. And for that, I would be getting caught and then punished. So they put me into a little box that was made for one person. The prison was made for 300 people, and there was 900 people in there. So the solitary confinement, there was 6 people in there. And they put me in there to punish me. There's no light. And everyone in there hates you because you're an American. And it was horrible. Anyway, I had a lot of time, an intense time, to think about what do I want out of life. And freedom kept coming up, just to be free. Because in prison, if you want to take a piss, you're not free to do that. You have to ask somebody to do that, or you have to do it at a specific time. Every bit of your life is controlled. You have no freedom. That's what prison's all about. They take away your freedom. Just take it right out from your life. So that's what I kept thinking about. Well, actually, that's what I want with my life. I want freedom. Well, then I had to start thinking about, well, what exactly is freedom? And what I've come to know is that true freedom is having the ability to provide for yourself, to be self-empowered. You know, in other words, I don't need the shops to exist. I can make my own clothing. I can live off of the land because I know a lot of the bush tucker. I know enough plants to where I could be healthier, living off the wild plants than I could be living out of the shops. And I know how to make shelter. I know how to make shelter in the bush from whatever's around me. We have a saying in Native America, whatever you need is within your hand's reach. And I found that to be true. So I've spent my whole life, I was 23, 24 when I got out of that prison. And I knew, when I took one step out of that prison, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life, which was to pursue freedom, find freedom on every level. And so that's what I've been doing. So it's been like 40 years since I got out of that prison. And what I realized is knowing the wild foods, being able to provide for yourself is true freedom. Not having to depend on anyone else in the whole world to provide for your life, for your existence. That's not freedom. That's the opposite of freedom. When we go into a shop and buy food that somebody else has grown for us, packaged it all up nicely, and sold to us. That's not freedom. That's taking away our freedom. And what I've also learned through this process is that you can't trust anybody that doesn't love you. And I mean that literally. It's like those people that grow the food for us, and we go in the shop, whatever shop it is, even an organic shop, and we buy that food. We're buying food that someone grew that doesn't know you and doesn't give a shit about you. What they want is some money to pay their mortgage, to keep their car on the road, to pay for their school kids' fees. That's what they want. They want money. They want to farm you. That's what it comes down to. And it's not their fault. That's the way the whole system's set up. But what do you get out of that? What do you get? What exactly do these people get out of living like that? I'll tell you what they get. They get cancer. They get kids that tear their heart out by doing exactly the opposite of what they want them to do. They get a life full of pain and suffering. And my life, you know, like when I go for a bushwalk, I have fun. Just the feeling, just knowing that I can live without those shops. I could walk from here across the continent and never miss a meal. That's true freedom. I don't need those people. It doesn't mean that I don't go in there and buy different things, because I will, as long as this world is going and I've got some money in my pocket. I'll step into those shops and I'll do the best I can, because I don't eat numbers. That's my main criteria. So when it comes to that world that's packaged and somebody else has done it for me, my main criteria is not to buy numbers. It comes back to trusting. You know, like when you go into a shop and you pick up something that's packaged, and it's got all these numbers behind whatever's in the packet. You know, the main ingredient, like rice, might be the main ingredient. And then you've got something else that follows it up, like water or salt. And then you've got a list of numbers. Well, every single one of those numbers is not food. Well, what does that mean? It means it's poison. Because anything that you put into your mouth that's not to replace energy that you're putting out is poison. It's poison. It's a chemical. Okay? Well, those people don't love you. They don't give a shit about you. All they care about is making profit. That's the only agenda they have. So if you're going to trust them and take this packet that's got numbers in it and eat it, well, then you can't complain about getting cancer or any other of those diseases that people get in the modern world. Basically, you don't need to know what those numbers mean. Just all you need to know is that it's poison. It's not food. It's not some substance that's going to replace energy that you're putting out. Because that's why we eat. We put out energy, we take energy in to replace it. That's what eating is all about. And those numbers have nothing to do with that. I think that when people give their lives up to other people to grow their food for them, make their house for them, make all their clothing for them, raise their kids for them, when they give all that up, they've given up all of their freedom. For what? For a few minutes at a fancy restaurant? You know, what exactly are you giving up all this precious, precious freedom for? You know? Basically, like my life, I've never met another person on this planet that is happier than I am. That has more fun. And personally, I think that's why we're here on Earth, is to experience having fun, joy, experiencing this amazing, incredible planet and this amazing, incredible body should be a lot of fun. And that's my goal. Every day when I wake up in the morning, I wonder, how am I going to have fun with this amazing body in this amazing world? That's my criteria. Not, am I going to get to work on time? Am I going to have to, you know, am I going to pay the rent on time? Is my car working properly? Have I got the kids? You know, it's all about control. Everyone's life is controlled and there is no freedom. And so what do we do? Go rent a DVD, a comic, someone to make us laugh? Because we don't find any joy in our own life and what we're doing in our own life, so we got to go rent a DVD to make us laugh. Or go to a show or something. Something outside of ourselves in our own lives. Something that's in the cyber world. I think it's insanity. I know it's insanity. And what I'm trying to do is help people realize that what life is about. Life is about fun and joy. And you need to find something in the world, in this beautiful, amazing world. And it can't be that hard, because it's an incredibly beautiful world, to make us full of joy, to make us feel fulfilled, like growing a garden. Grow something from a tiny little seed and watch the miracle of life unfold. That is true joy. And so I think joy and freedom are my guiding lights. I know they are. Those are my guiding lights. Joy and freedom. If I'm not having fun at what I'm doing in the day, I'll change directions and go in a different direction. Try to find that joy. Also, you know, all the things that I do in my life are biodegradable. They go back to the earth. Like, I'm making some string here right now that I can hang a piece of jewelry that I've made from nature, or a musical instrument that I've made from clay. And I'll make some string from this stick and hang it on it. I find a lot of joy in that. And I also get paid for that. Like, well, I need money. I got to take a train and go places and stuff, and it costs money. So that's how I get it, by making things that I have fun doing and then sell it in exchange for whatever I need in this world. But I'll tell you, you know, like, I'm looking forward to the day when the shops close. And they will. It's not about if, it's about when. The key word is sustainable. And we've all heard it 1,000 million times. The world that we've created is not sustainable. It's going to collapse. It's going to end. And it's coming to an end really quickly. We invented the machine to make our lives easier. And I actually got to watch how it works. Like, my my grandparents raised me on my father's side, and they lived on a self-sufficient farm. And they only worked 3 to 4 hours a day, milking the cows, collecting the eggs, doing time in the garden, weeding and planting and harvesting, spinning some yarn. And then their day was over. And while they were doing those things, they were having fun. They were laughing and carrying on playing and telling jokes and having a good time. It wasn't like they hated what they were doing at all. They loved it. But that covered their basics: food, shelter, and clothing. The rest of the time they were down at the creek swimming, playing with me, playing with each other, playing music, doing things that they wanted to do creatively, expressing their creative freedom. And then I had to go live with my parents when I was 12, because my grandmother died. And I went to live with my parents, and they had every toy. They were millionaires, and they had every new toy on the market. And they weren't happy. And they worked 10 hours a day, every day. You know, we took the weekends, my father and mother took the weekends off. So they had Saturday and Sunday. But the rest of the time they were working their butts off. You know, I saw my uncle come to stay with my grandparents, because they raised the taxes on my grandfather's farm. So he wasn't able to pay the taxes with the few acres of wheat and barley that he had in. So that meant that he had to get a tractor and plow down more of his forest and plant more wheat and barley. Anyway, my uncle came and he bought him a washing machine. My grandmother used to do it all by hand and get me to help her, and when we did, we played. We had games that we played, and we laughed, and we had fun, and we'd hang the laundry up on the line. And it kept my grandmother healthy and fit, because she had to bend over, you know, and do all these movements. And it kept her healthy and fit. And then when she got the washing machine, it was so quick to watch. She didn't do the laundry anymore. She got less and less healthy, because she wasn't doing this physical exercise anymore. And it was the same with everything. And we got a phone. It was one of those kind you you'd ring it up and then get the operator on and then call your neighbor. Well, when she got that, did she bother to take a walk over to the neighbors anymore? No. You just get on the phone and ring them. So she got more and more unhealthy and fatter. Before she got the machine, she was really incredibly physically fit. And she didn't look her age at all. But within 2 years of these machines coming into her life, she had a flabby stomach, flabby arms. And that's where it's taken us. It's robbed us of the beauty of having an amazing, beautiful body that's capable of swimming as far as you want to swim. Having the endurance to hike over mountains. And now what do we have? We have most of our population is out of shape. You know, like sometimes you'll see people jogging down the highway, breathing in all the toxins and stuff. But that's not going to keep them in shape. That's not the same. Anyway, we invented the machine to make our lives easier. And it worked exactly the opposite. It made our lives harder. My grandparents, like I said, worked 3 or 4 hours a day. Food, shelter, clothing, covered. The average person in America, the average man works 12 hours a day, 6 days a week to get their food, shelter, and clothing. So it's all been a lie. It's been a total, absolute lie. Our lives have been made incredibly complicated, incredibly unhealthy, disempowered, so no one is self-empowered anymore. We're all dependent on the man, on the machine, on the beast. So what I'm saying is, you know, have a good look at your life and see where you're going with it. What are you actually getting out of it? What is important to you? You know, like I tell people all the time, I find my riches in my friends and in my ability to provide for myself. I have a lot of fun doing that. I don't ever sit down and weave a basket like this and think, oh heck, I got to weave a basket. I get excited about it. And I head out into the bush and collect my fibers and then sit down and weave it, and I'm having fun. You know, and then I create something amazingly beautiful, which I didn't get in Kmart. Yeah, somebody the other day said to me, hey, gee, that's really different. Did you make that? I said, well, I didn't get it in Kmart. And it's beautiful. And yeah, I'm just trying to help people remember how much joy there is in being self-empowered. How much joy there is in watching the miracle of life unfold by planting a tiny carrot seed and watching it grow into this amazing plant that you can actually eat. You know, the joy that has been robbed from us. We've given it up. It's nobody's fault but our own. It is nobody's fault but our own. There is no them and us. It's about us. Taking back the power that is inherently ours. It's our birthright to have these powers, to be happy and joyous. That's our birthright. Most of us remember, we have moments in our childhood where we were totally free with our friends, with what we were creating in our lives. And it was fun. Almost, I'm sure, nearly every single one of us can conjure up an image of when you were a child and you had real laughter. Not fake laughter, not something that you had to conjure up, but just belly laughs with your friends, building a little shelter, you know, walking up a creek and going, oh my God, look at that cicada, or whatever, you know, in nature. When any of us think about the amazing, most beautiful times of our life, most of it goes back to our childhood. Because once you get in school, they're programming you from the word go. They're programming you so that they can farm you down the track. That's the whole agenda. Take away your power, take away your self-empowerment, take away your ability to go feed yourself, to make your own clothing, to make your own house. And they've got you. They've got everyone. right where they want them. They've taken away their freedom so that they can farm them, so they can sail around on yachts, you know, so that they can go to high-class resorts or whatever they do. I don't know. But it's all for them. Enslave us, which is the masses of people, so that they can have their agenda, which is whatever it is, sailing around on yachts and stuff. But, yeah, so, but it comes back to every individual. It's your choice. It's always our choice. You know, it's like, you can get up today, you can watch this film and go, okay, I'm going to grow a garden. If you don't have a place to grow a garden, grow a sprout garden. Get connected. Start watching the miracle of life and get reconnected. Even a sprout garden. Like if you learn the bush tucker out of the films that my friend Mark and I have made, well, you can start right there. Even if you don't own property or have a rental property that has a backyard, doesn't matter. You can still go out and collect wild foods, like the Farmer's Friend that we show you in one of the documentaries. Collect the seeds, easy to collect, and sprout them. Start doing things for yourself and start feeling the joy and the freedom that comes with that. Because that'll be the fertilizer that makes you take the next step. Wherever you're at, start finding freedom by doing things for yourself, by looking for the alternatives to having somebody else do everything for you. Not only is it joyous and self-fulfilling and self-empowering to grow your own food and to know the wild bush tucker, but there's many other levels too. Like, you know, like during the Great Depression, it took 5 days to get all the food out of the shops. People just jammed into the shops. It was all gone in 5 days. And, you know, like, history repeats itself. There's no reason to believe that we're not going to have another economic collapse. There's nothing out there that has any legitimate reason for us not to repeat this lesson. So we're going to have another economic collapse, and my personal feeling is it's going to be really soon, like really soon, in the next year or two. And when that happens, when the economy collapses, the food disappears out of the shops in 3 days. And during the last Great Depression, we had 90% of the people living in the bush, and they had gardens, like my grandparents. My grandparents hardly knew there was a Great Depression going on because they still had food. They still had clothing. They still had a roof over their head. You know? It was only the people in the cities that were standing in line, like my mother stood in line for 10 years. 10 years. From 1928 to 1938, she was there every day, taking turns with her 7 sisters, standing in line to get their rations. Well, this time, only 10% of us live in the bush, and they don't have gardens and they don't have food storage. That food, when the economy collapses, that food is going to go out of the shop like that in a heartbeat. It'll be gone. There'll be nothing there. Now just try to imagine that. Just try to imagine the economy's collapsed, and it happens overnight, just like the Great Depression. One day, all the politicians are saying, oh, it's great, the economy is coming back up, oh, don't worry. And the next day, it's down, it's gone. And it's going to happen again. There's no doubt about it. And when it does, if you know these wild foods, if you know how to build a shelter in the bush, if you have a stash of cotton clothing that you got from the op shop, you can walk away from it. But if you don't, then what happens is they're going to have the ultimate farm. The Great Depression was so that they could get ready for the World War II, so that they could consolidate power. And that's what they did. When all these banks went bankrupt and everything, all the bigger banks sucked them up, made them into giant banks. And that's what happens. That's what they'll do again. And when that happens, they'll come in. This time it's going to be serious because chaos will reign. Like I said, 90% of the people lived in the bush and they had gardens before. So there wasn't like total chaos. This time there will be. People all these people that can't feed their dogs to start with, and their cats. They're not going to kill them, they're going to let them go. And when that happens, they form up packs. There'll be major packs of dogs when this happens. There'll be gangs of people that'll be just coming and taking whatever you've got. If you've got a garden, they're going to just come in and take it. They're going to take everything out of your shelves. There'll be gangs of people, and chaos will reign until the army comes in. And then when the army comes in, and they'll consciously wait for 4 or 5 days so that all the population is terrified, totally terrified. They'll come in and they'll get on their loudspeakers and they'll say, okay, we're in control now. We want you to come on down to Townsville or wherever they have these stations set up. And we'll feed you and we'll fix your teeth and we'll keep schooling your kids and we'll take care of all your needs, and it'll just be for a short time. But basically you're a resource, and what they'll do is they'll straight away put you to work because they're getting ready for a Third World War. And they'll put you to work making uniforms, machines, guns, whatever it is. So at that point you're going to have two choices. You're either going to go believe them and go work for them and have them take care of your needs and be continuously farmed, because that's what's happening, or you're going to go bush and find freedom. And that's what I'm trying to help people have a choice. Like if you know a few of the bush tuckers, if you know a little bit about nature, then maybe you'll make that choice. Just go bush. And because the universe set down the laws of attraction in the beginning, you'll hook up with other people. There's no doubt about it. And those people will survive. From my perspective, it's all so perfect, because basically we've been just learning a lesson here. Humanity has just been learning a lesson so that we can evolve. If we don't learn the lesson, we can't grow. And so we've been stuck in Groundhog Day for 5,000 years, over and over again. If I go back into the archives of the newspapers and pulled a newspaper out, it would be almost exactly what is written today. It's all Groundhog Day. Same thing, over and over and over and over again. And from my perspective, life itself has been letting us do that. So that when enough of us, let me just start like this. A lot of you have probably seen or heard about the lemmings. It's a little rodent that lives in the tundra in Alaska. And every 7 years they overpopulate. So there's not enough food. And they know that. They wake up in the spring and they know there's not going to be enough food. And so they run to the sea. They run, and it's many kilometers. When they get to the sea, it's a cliff. They jump off the cliff, roll down it, and on the way there, they've got foxes and all kinds of birds attacking them and killing them and taking them. They roll down, and a few of them survive that, and they swim in a cluster. They swim out to sea until they drown. But a few of those lemmings didn't do that. They went, hang on, I'm not doing that. I'm going to stay here in my little hollow, and there will be enough food for me, and I can do it again. And that's what's happening with humanity. A few of us are going to see it, are going to see that we're in a bus heading for a brick wall, and a few of us are going to jump. I've jumped, and I'm trying to encourage other people to jump. Jump out of that bloody bus. There's nothing to be afraid of. That bus is fear. That's a bus full of fear. And that's what this whole thing is based on, is fear. Make you afraid that you're going to starve to death because you don't know the wild foods. Make you afraid that you're going to get rained on and get snowed on and you're going to die from cold, hypothermia, because you don't know how to build a house. They've taken away all your freedoms and said, look, you got to do this. You got to work for us at something that you hate. You know, how many people in the world have a job they love? They get up in the morning and go, wow, this is amazing, I'm going to work. Hardly anybody. Most of us, 99.9% of the people on this planet, hate their work. So they've robbed us of our joy, our freedom. And what do they give back to us? What? Suit and tie? A little toy that, you know, like whatever toy it is, which is going to break, and then you got to go to work for them again and buy a new one? All right, well, it comes down to you having a choice here. You know, do you want to keep following the sheep? You want to stay in the bus and head for the brick wall? Because it's heading for the brick wall and it is going to smash. And it's going to be painful for whoever's in that bus. So what do you want to do? You know, I'm here to help give you an option. That's all. Give you an option. Learn these foods. These are in our films, what we do is we give you the Bush Tucker superstars. I got that from Mark. He called them superstars one day. I said, that's it. We need superstars. These are the superstar Bush Tucker plants. They're everywhere in the bush no matter where you go. It's not some exotic thing that has a two-week window in the summer that it's fruiting and you can eat it. These plants are there all the time through every season, in every habitat, woodlands, grasslands, bushlands. Wherever you go, you're going to find these plants. And these plants will not only sustain you, but make you healthier than if you were living out of the shops. Okay? So learn these plants, and when that day comes, because it's not about when, it's about, or if, it's when. When that day comes, you have this knowledge, go. Go find freedom. Go find joy. And let this world go. Let it decompose and go back to where it came from.